I lead, execute, and manage a team of editors, our creative director. So I lead the execution and vision and strategy of our editorial, which is our .com website and our social channels.
Okay.
So anywhere where our content's coming out of, if it's YouTube, if it's Remezcla.com, if it's our Instagram, all of that, I'm leading the team that builds all of that content. From everyone from our director of artist talent relations, our creative director, as I mentioned, all of our editors, our freelance writer pool. I'm just leading them to create the content. I always tell them, I'm here to serve you, support you.
Love that.
I'm, as their leader, I'm just like, and then I don't even like them to see me as a leader, as just one of them and like someone there to support whatever it is that they want to do. But yeah, it's like basically ideating the strategy and helping them execute what it is that comes out of Remezcla.
Oh my gracious.
Even back in high school, Jennifer inspired more than
Cambié la imagen por vender bitcoins.
Come on, shake your body, baby, do that conga.
What's going on? It's your girl, Ali V. Growing Up Latina. I'm here with Thatiana Diaz.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So I want to start off. Oh my God. I felt like we've been working on this. I don't know. I feel like I was trying to catch you because I saw you were in New York and I'm like, oh my God, I got to catch her.
Yeah.
Because I follow you on Instagram. You do incredible things.
Thank you.
So I was like, when she comes to New York, that's it. I'm going to grab her. So I'm
me.
happy you're here. You're on our sala now.
Yes.
Let's talk about your sala and what that vibe was like. What novelas were you watching? What music were you listening to?
So my parents were always very hard workers. They were always like on the job. So for me, I was very immersed. Like I know a lot of people say they grew up with the culture, but it was really hard for me and my brother to grow up with the culture because like my parents were always working. And so like we were watching like American television. We were watching Nickelodeon. We were watching
Love it.
T-Nick. We were like, that's what we kind of grew up with. Of
Like
course,
your
we had
TGIF, Nick at Night.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nick at Night, MTV. So like my brother actually doesn't speak any Spanish, but like luckily with me, I was like I just was always like trying to like be one up, and I was like, I want to learn Spanish. Same reason I took French in high school because I was like,
I know. I was the girl that was like, let me take Spanish. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna pass.
No, I was like, I'm gonna take French because I want to work on my Spanish at home. But yeah, I grew up very immersed in American culture. But also I did get my dose of. I'm Dominican. I'm first generation.
Yes.
And yeah, that was kind of like my sala. Was me and my brother watching all types of cartoons.
Yeah. So is it just you and your brother?
Yeah.
How is that?
Good.
Yeah.
It was.
So you guys argue? Like, what's the vibe?
Growing up, we argued a lot.
I could imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. But he was always my protective brother too. He's like 2 or 3 years younger. But he always acted like the older brother, like always defending me, always watching out for me. We did get in a lot of arguments because we were so close in age, and it was like this constant struggle of like fighting over our toys and who gets to do what, or why does this person get to do this but I don't. Like that was always our arguments growing up. But that's like one of my that's like one of my first best friends, if not my first best friend.
Yeah. What was your relationship like with your parents?
It was great. I think I was always a daddy's girl.
Really?
Yeah, I
love that.
I was a huge daddy's girl. And I think I had a bit of resentment with my parents growing up because they were always working. And then so I had to grow up a lot faster and like learn to cook and like really watch out for my brother. Like me and my brother always watched out for each other. As I grew older and as I started working and I understood what it is, like they were immigrants. They had to work really, really hard. And to see where they're at now, like my father's retired in the Dominican Republic, achieved his dreams of like being able to retire once he sent us off to college. Like as soon as me and my brother grew up, he was like, okay.
He was like, goodbye.
I did my job. And to see him living the life he wants in the Dominican Republic. And then to see my mom, like she's an executive on Wall Street and didn't finish high school. And to like see the way that they worked hard to get to where they're at, but also provide us the life. Like I always acknowledges the privileges that I had, and like growing up in Bayside, Queens, and going to private school, me and my brother, and like being driven to school. Like a lot of people don't get to experience that, especially as first generation. But in the moment when you're living it, you're like, damn, like I want them to be around. I want them to like do things with us. But like, yeah, that was kind of the how we grew up. But I appreciate them so much now as an adult. Yeah.
I want to peel it back a little bit because I was telling you offline, like I feel like you and I do have like kind of a similar story.
Yeah.
In terms of like with our parents. So when you said like you have a lot of or you had a lot of resentment towards your parents, I feel like that was me because I only knew like my mom working.
Yeah.
Like my mom was like never home. My mom and my dad got divorced, so my dad was never home either, right? So it was my older sister that kind of stepped in and took that motherly role. But there was, you did an interview one time where you were interviewing your mom.
Yes.
And that was like, I cried.
Oh.
I literally cried. And I think for me, what it was, I think you guys kind of address maybe like the elephant in the room. I don't know if you've had that conversation with her before.
That was the first time we had that conversation.
Okay, because I was wondering, I'm like, when I sit with her, I want to ask her if she's ever like addressed it.
No, we never did.
How was that?
It was, I think that's the role of being a journalist. Like you have to be honest, and even like having a platform like this, being as honest as possible, because then what are people listening to?
Yeah.
And I think you really build up that community when you are honest. So that was like the perfect opportunity to like sit down and like face like what it's so, you know, when you're first generation, you grow up both having spoken different languages, growing up completely different cultures. It's so hard to kind of like meet in a place, especially like, well, the way that they grew up was like no emotions.
Yeah.
Like their parents were kind of, the way that generation grew up was very like no emotions, keep your head up. Like mental health is not a thing. Traumas was not a thing. Like that really started with my generation. And so, yeah, I think it was really the opportunity to like, we're here, let's unpack it all. So that was the first time we ever spoke about like me growing up, the resentment that I held, how the guilt that she held as a mother. Like that was my first time also listening to like, you know, while I'm having resentment, she's also having guilt. And so to be able to talk about that, I loved it. And we did it as a way of like, people will have an opportunity to like listen to this and maybe they'll have the same discussion too with their parents.
Let me ask you, the moments leading up to that big moment, like what was that like?
I was just like, I told my mom, just come on camera and let's talk. I didn't really give her much.
So you didn't prep her?
I did not prep her because I wanted it to be as raw as possible. And I didn't want her to feel like she had to think about it or like, what would she answer? I wanted her to come, even after she was like, Mira, you should have told me we were going to cry and stuff. Yeah.
It was so, it was powerful. So there's a lot that I took away from that. One was the regret aspect, right? Like I think she shared like the regrets that she has or that she had at that moment as your mom. But then two, what I found very interesting was that you didn't want to go to college, and you expressed that in the interview. And that was me, girl. I was like, I don't want to go to college. Me and my mom went back and forth. My mom has her GED, and I think that was like the biggest part was because she has her GED. She said, no, all of my kids are now going to go to college.
Yeah.
But like you said, you know, we come from a different generation where I felt like a lot of the experience that I would get would be hands-on, and maybe college wouldn't be able to provide that for me, or at least that was my viewpoint at that time. So I want to know for you, like, what was it about college that you just did not, you felt like, it's not for me, but I'm going to do it to make her happy? Like,
yeah, I just felt like for me, I was like, if I'm going to go to college, I'm fine just going to like a city college situation. But for me, college, I just feel like there's so much you can achieve without going to college.
Right.
But at some point, I was like, okay, I do want to do college, but I just want to do city. But my parents were very about private school for some reason. It was like they wanted that badge of honor of like my kids went to private school from young. So we had gone to private school for middle school and high school. And I just know that like my parents thought they were really good at hiding the struggle. Yeah. And like, I know we were living way beyond our means. And so like, we were paying for private school and we could not be paying for private school. Right. So for me, it was just like, why are we going to do this for college as well? Like, why are we going to, for me, it was mostly the struggle. Like, why are we going to continue to struggle when we can't afford this? And like, I appreciate so much that they always tried to make it work and they did what they did. But it was just like, I also don't want them struggling to like make things meet, because I know what it is that college isn't that necessary. Like my brother's great and he has his own business, he's an entrepreneur, and he didn't finish college. And so like, and I've seen amazing people. Look at my mom and what she's been able to prove by not even finishing high school. So it's like, for me, it was like, if I'm gonna go either free to a city college situation. But they were very adamant about private school. Like that was their badge of honor. Like my daughter went to private school her whole life. So I just gave it to them. But I just felt like it was just, why struggle?
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's what she said in the interview was like her biggest sacrifice was that there was times where she missed meals.
Yes. And then,
and this was the first time you hearing this? Like this.
But I knew it. I knew,
so it was like this unspoken thing.
It was this unspoken thing that like, they always try to make it seem like we were living well, but I'm a very observant person.
Right.
And I think the reality that I was living in made me an observant person.
Okay.
Like I would see that my mom wasn't eating, or I would see that like she was bringing things from her company, like toilet paper, like things. But then we were living in a house, which like didn't make sense to me. And we had a car, and like, there were certain lifestyle choices. And again, I think they wanted me and my brother to feel like we were living our best life. But we knew what the real deal was. And that's why I was like,
Yeah. And you guys
we never spoke about it ever until that day. Yeah.
I feel like I would have addressed it with my mom.
No. It was just...
Did you feel like if you did address it, like, did you feel like it would have been an argument instead of like...
No,
I
just never want them to feel bad. And I wanted to I always wanted them to feel like the facade that we lived in was for a reason. I never wanted to feel like it was a waste of time that they did all of this and that it didn't affect us mentally or in any way. Like I didn't want them to feel bad for all that they did. So it was just like I went along with it essentially.
Right.
And then I felt like as an adult, like now, okay, I'm not under their care anymore. Let's have this conversation. But I never wanted to have that conversation again because I didn't want them to feel bad. I wanted them to feel like, okay, let's go along with this. We're living our best life. We're not struggling.
Right, right. I mean, I also think that's important as well, right? Like, even though behind the scenes your mom may have been struggling, she didn't put that in the forefront. So she kind of wasn't a victim to her reality. She was just kind of pushing through, you know?
Yeah. And she's still like that to this day. She's a very optimistic person. She's very like, I got this. We got this.
We love her.
It's going to all work out.
We love that.
And I have a really good balance because my dad's a realist and my mom's an optimist. So like my mom's always like, things will figure itself out. The universe got me. Like, and I love that about her.
Yes.
It's funny hearing her just talking about this the other day.
Yeah.
And then my dad's very realist. Like, this is not going to work out.
Like, we don't have it.
Yeah, the probability is against us.
Yeah.
The stats are against us. And so I have a really good balance of both. But my mom's always been like that. She's always been like, the universe will get me in some way. If I have negative $5 in my account, I know that somehow things will work out.
So she's like the epitome of The Secret.
Yes.
We love that.
Yes. She's always like, watch out what you say. The universe is listening.
Is that what she instilled in you from young?
Yeah. My mom's always that, like, she always corrects me if I'm like, oh, if I get this. She's always like, no, when you get this. She always corrects me. She's always like, be careful what you speak and put out to the universe. And she's always like, let's ask the universe for this if this is what you want. But she's always instilled that to me, and I'm always thinking like that. Like, a lot of people are always like, oh, like, you're winning, or you're the things that you're accomplishing. And I'm like, I really like call a lot of those things out. Like, I'm usually like speaking it out into existence.
So you believe in manifestation?
I do. I do. I believe in manifestation.
What was like your biggest like thing that you manifested?
Being an editor-in-chief before 30. Like, that's
a huge accomplishment, by the way.
Oh, thank you. A lot of people thought that was crazy, but I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like,
so you had that in your mind? Like,
I
you
did.
Literally said to yourself, I'm gonna be an editor-in-chief.
Yes.
Did you know for what company?
I did not know for what company.
But what was it about being an editor? Like, what?
Because I never seen someone like me be an editor-in-chief.
Okay.
And that's what moved me in the industry a lot. I never saw myself represented. A lot of the representation that was there was there wasn't a Dominicana from New York. Like, the way we talk, the way we move, there's no one really that looks or like, there was no one that looked or talked like me. There were stories, but they were very generalized towards Latinidad. And so for me, the way I moved was really trying to create spaces or allow for people to see themselves represented. And I never saw myself as an editor-in-chief in terms of like seeing myself. So I was like, I want to inspire someone to see a Caribbean, a Latina from New York who has that like East Coast. She listens to hip hop.
Yep. like that cool urban girl. Yeah.
Like she can be editor-in-chief. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you go about manifesting like this role for yourself? Like, is this on your vision board?
I'm
curious because I'm like, I love whenever I meet like a powerful manifester.
Yeah.
I feel like I can manifest as well. I've actually done it a few times throughout my career, but I wonder for you, like, what are some of the steps that you take when manifesting?
I'm a very big, like, I'm not very specific when I manifest. I'm a very person, like, if this whatever's meant for me, please let it be for me. Like, lead me there. Like, I'm always like, universe, lead me where, like, I know that the things that are meant for me will come for me.
Okay.
So I don't ever go like, I want this job, manifests.
Right.
Like, this is me. This is
make it work.
Like, I always say, like, if this is for me, please guide me towards that. Like, give me what I need. Give me the ingredients. Give me the steps. Like, guide me essentially to that path. And I'm a very big, I do affirmations every morning.
Good.
While I'm doing my makeup or doing my skincare, affirmations are playing. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, I do affirmations at night. And YouTube, great source for like free affirmations. You repeat after the affirmations and it's just like, I am powerful. Today I will have a good day. What's meant for me will come with me today. I am ready for opportunities. I'm ready. It's just believing that you're ready for whatever is meant. So much of manifestation that goes against it is doubt. And I don't doubt myself. Like, I'm very much a believer in like what's meant for me will come for me and I'm ready for those things. And believing that I'm ready for those things has led me to those. If I've never believed and I thought, oh, I'm never capable of being an editor-in-chief, that's never going to happen because I've never seen it. It was never going to come for me. But the fact that I believed in the fact that I can be and I was ready for this opportunity allowed me that opportunity to come to me.
Couple things. You can't hit me with that now. I got a couple things. So one, I want to talk about doubt because I think that's interesting. You've never seen it. So how did you know it was possible? How were you so sure that this can actually be a thing for you?
Because anything that's ever been accomplished was from someone never having. There's so many firsts. So why can't that be me? So it's like anything that's ever been done has never been done before. There's time where it hasn't been done before. So why can't that also apply to what I have dreamed of? So for me, it's not that it's impossible. Clearly someone has been an editor-in-chief. It's not some like imaginary role, but even there's been roles that have been created out of nowhere. Who would have thought that social media director would have been a thing? Who would have known that podcast host would have been a thing years ago, a decade ago? But someone was like, you know what? Let's make podcasts. You know what? Let's create this social media app. So it's like, I just think it's like the more that you think, doubt is it's just a funny thing to me because it's like, why? If someone, I know there's so many factors that play against us. And like, again, but it's just like, but why not you? My thing is, why not? Why not? If it's working out against you, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You fail, you try again. So it's like, why not?
I agree with that, but I think just listening to you and like, you know, yes, this role didn't exist before you, but then you were put into a situation like, for instance, when you were in the pageant, right? You were Miss New York, and you mentioned that how hard that was for you, that entire experience, because you were bullied and you felt like your people were not supporting you. So I think dealing with something like that can kind of muster up some doubt, like, okay, well, can this also happen in this situation? Like, if I'm an editor-in-chief, are my people not going to support me? Like, I wonder, did you have those type of questions in terms of doubt?
No, I didn't, because I'm a very big believer in like putting your energy towards the good.
Okay.
And like, I know I have a strong people around me. Like, I have strong family, I have strong friends. And those are the people that are in the crowd that like are cheering me on, supporting me no matter what. And like, I actually gave advice to someone the other day because they were responding to a lot of negative comments. But then when I looked at her content, she had a lot of positive. But you could tell she was directing a lot of her energy towards the negative. And it's like, for me, if you the more that you like lean towards that negativity, the more that you feed that energy yourself, and now you start doubting yourself.
Yeah.
But if you like really take in the positive, that's when you really start believing in yourself, and then start, again, that's the manifestation, start calling in more positive comments. The more negative you call, the more negative that you pay attention, the more negative that comes your way.
True.
So for me, it's like I always try to stay positive of like, there is just, I know that sounds, again, this goes all back to my mom and her optimism. So sometimes someone might look at me or hear me and think I'm being delulu. But like for me, pageants, right? If I didn't win, it was just like, okay, then I can now focus on my career, my dream career. And like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Like it's just not meant for me. And now I can focus on my dream towards becoming editor-in-chief. And so, and if like this job doesn't work out, then I know that that's not meant for me. There's something that's firing up, and it always worked out that way. There was always something greater waiting for me on the other end of the door. So it's like, and again, I know that's so much harder.
I love this. I love the positivity. Are you
it's just
me?
like, but it's just like life is so short not to be positive.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, I know I've had a lot of privilege in the things that I've been able to accomplish, and I know that there's many communities and many people who don't have that privilege or aren't able to do that. It's not as simple as like, oh, I'm gonna stay positive when you feel like
no, it's a lot of work to be positive.
It's a lot, and there's much more people that have many more factors that work against them than me. So I completely understand that. But I always say, like, try your hardest if you're able to stay as positive as possible.
See, the reason why I say it's a lot of work, because when you were faced with that, taking it back to the pageant, when you were faced with that situation, were you angry at your community? Did you ever feel like, because for sure it could be a frustrating moment for anyone, right? Because it's like, damn, it'd be your own people.
It'd be your own people.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be like that. But were you ever just angry?
I was sad.
You were sad.
I was sad because a lot of the work that I do is for them. Like, even when I was in pageants, like, you're wearing the sash, and the sash says where you're from. Yeah. And then when you are on that stage, it's like so sad, because it's like, I was never angry. I was always more sad, because it was just like, damn, I'm doing this for you. Like, I'm doing this for us. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing it for, like, to represent. And it's like the people that you do want to recognize that are the people who aren't recognizing that. So it was more sadness than anything.
So how do you stay positive through that? Like, how do you keep going?
It's
without feeling like some type of way.
It's a fight. Like, I always tell, like, I told my husband the other day, it's like, it's an active thing. It's not like I'm a positive person, that's it. It's something I'm choosing to do from the moment I wake up to when I go to sleep. It's a choice. And so, like, it's tiring. Like, sometimes I go to sleep and I'm like, damn, today was really tough.
Like, I need a break from
everything
the positivity.
Like, there's days where, like, everything's working against me. I will spill a coffee. Then I'll, like, go into a meeting that did not go the way it needed to go. I've missed a flight. It's like, you feel like everything's working against you. And, like, in every one of those moments, I'm choosing to be positive. So it's like, it's hard, but again, it's like reminding myself when I was sad in those moments, like looking to my people, the people that are there, and like using that to fill my cup of like, okay, I still, like, my mom, my dad, like my friends, my family, like, they're still cheering me on. They're still there. That's something to, like, remain positive about.
You vibrate on a higher frequency. You're different.
No, I wake up every morning and I'm like, thank you for another day. Yeah. And I go to sleep and I'm like, thank you for today. Like, everything. Like, I'm very, like, the fact that I get to walk on both my legs, the way that I get to breathe, everything. Like, I don't take anything for granted. Like, I'm literally moving every day with so much gratitude, because it's like, I understand the privileges that I have to do anything, even speak. So it's...
I love this. Because I try. Let me explain. Like, I wake up and I'm big on writing. So I'll write. And that's like my form, I guess, of like manifestation. But girl, some people be testing you.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I want to be positive. Yeah. But you making me flip the switch.
It's a choice. Quick. It's an exercise. It's like working out. Yeah, it's legit like working out, because you're having to push yourself and push yourself. It's like making that choice to get up and go to the gym, or get up and get a glass of water. Like, it's that much work. Like, and that's hard for us. Like, I'm terrible with drinking water. Yeah. So it's like that tough it is to commit. It's that tough to commit to also being positive, or like changing your mindset.
Well, that's why they say like the biggest battle that you'll ever have to deal with in life is the battle with yourself. Because it's like a lifelong journey. It's not with anyone else. It's like literally you versus you. Because like you said, being positive does take a lot of work.
It does.
And it is a choice. And sometimes there's people that will test you. And that's why I always take it back to systems, right? Like you need to have a system in place for your overall life so that whenever these moments happen where it's not so positive, at least you have a system and it doesn't completely throw you off track. So I'm wondering for you, like what has been like your system in place that you have that you feel can attribute to the success in your career and your overall life?
Yeah. So you mean system like what do I do and if someone
like your
tries
daily-
me?
Yeah.
For me, it's so important to take time for myself. It's okay to we give so much of ourselves, especially people of color, especially Latinas.
Yeah.
We give so much of ourselves to other people. And so like I sometimes have to take a beat, and if I'm going to spend the whole weekend in my house and miss out on something because
You're okay with that?
I need to recharge, then that's my system. I'm okay with that. And I've had that was really tough to also, because I also wanted to give to everyone and be present for everything. And it's like, you can't. Like you also have to pour into your cup. And I think a lot of my strength in being positive comes from being able to like dedicate time to myself. So like I dedicate an evening, and I'll tell my husband, I'm like, I need 2 hours. I'm going to watch reality television. I'm going to pour myself a glass of wine or enjoy a nice tea, like hot water with magnesium, and enjoy my night.
And he gets it?
And he gets it. And
She's like,
yeah. And every night I have my hot water with magnesium. That's a big part of it.
Yes.
But it's also like talking to myself. My ritual is really like, I'll talk to it sounds crazy, but I legit talk to myself in the morning. I talk to myself while I'm showering. I talk to myself while I'm doing my makeup. Like I just feed the positivity. I feed my thoughts, and like talking to yourself. Like I used to be a writer too, but I found what changed the game for me was really talking to myself.
Really?
And I
gotta try that.
I know it sounds delulu, but
no, I think it's so important.
Yeah, but like I just feel like it helps me kind of like get myself together.
Yeah.
Because I'm like kind of having that conversation with my mind essentially. And so yeah, I just think my rituals that like, as I mentioned, like starting the day saying, I'm grateful for another day. It's like whenever I feel overwhelmed, taking a beat. If I need 2 hours, I'm gonna take my 2 hours and enjoying the things that like, because sometimes people make us feel bad about like reality television or scrolling through
like,
TikTok.
Why? It's like passing time.
Yes.
Like, you need that.
And it's like, I need that. And whatever it is that you need, do it.
Right.
And dedicate time to that.
Right.
Because I'm saying people do try me, and I have terrible days.
Like people do try.
Yeah, like people do try me, and I do have bad days, and it feels overwhelming. So it's like in that moment, instead of like soaking in it, I'm like, okay, let's recharge, let's reset for a second. And that's always been my ritual. Like you don't need to, I feel like what society has made us feel is like we need to like better ourselves in those moments. We need to go work out. We need to like write a book. I don't know, whatever it is. Like
I just feel like sometimes the most positive thing you can do is be still.
Yes.
You just need to be like, just stop everything and
stop.
just be still.
Exactly. Just stop.
And just like be one with your thoughts.
Yes. But someone will be like, you need to meditate or you need to work out or you need.
No, I don't want to do. I want to be still.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to do anything, and that's okay, and embrace that. And that's my ritual. It's really like, it's not a lot. It's just like really dedicating time to myself and talking to myself.
Now, how does this transfer over into the workplace? Because your company, you guys have a lot of things going on. So talk to me about like how you got into this position, what this actually means for people that are not aware with the term editor-in-chief. What does that mean?
So I lead, execute, and manage a team of editors, our creative director. So I lead the execution and vision and strategy of our editorial, which is our .com website and our social channels.
Okay.
So anywhere where our content's coming out of, if it's YouTube, if it's Remezcla.com, if it's our Instagram, all of that, I'm leading the team that builds all of that content. From everyone from our director of artist talent relations, our creative director, as I mentioned, all of our editors, our freelance writer pool. I'm just leading them to create the content. I always tell them, I'm here to serve you, support you.
Love that.
I'm, as their leader, I'm just like and I don't even like them to see me as a leader, as just one of them and like someone there to support whatever it is that they want to do. But yeah, it's like basically ideating the strategy and helping them execute what it is that comes out of Remezcla.
And how big is your team?
So we are a company of around 50 to 60 individuals, but my team is 10.
Okay. And how long have you been working with the company?
3 years. Yeah, 3
that's
years.
so exciting.
Yeah, 3 years.
Yeah. How'd you get into that? Was there like a job position that opened that you heard
They
about?
reached out, and that was the first
Love
time
this.
that I was poached, and the emotion, I cried so much because,
you?
because my whole life was me applying to jobs. Every opportunity I got was like, I'm going to knock down this door.
Yeah.
You're going to let me in here. And that was the first time that I had someone come to my inbox and be like, hey, we've been looking at your work. We love your work. Would love for you to come join our team. And I was just like, because you hear about people being like poached or approached for opportunities, and I never grasped that. Like I always wanted it, but I was like, I'm gonna knock down whatever doors I have to. But that was the first time that someone
Like this was the first time where you felt like someone saw you. Like you
where I was seen.
You were seen.
I was seen.
That's
so
dope.
it felt so good, and yeah, that was what led me into 3 years now.
Now, what was, in terms of like now you're coming into this company, what really drew you to the, I guess, overall mission and vision of what they stand for versus like some of the changes that you maybe had wanted to implement within that company?
Yeah, for me, it was that Remezcla was always a North Star in Latinx media. And so for me, it was like, if I can be a part of that, and just the fact that I was seen by them and knowing what they mean to our communities was what really, I'd always work in predominantly white spaces and general market. I was at Refinery 29, I was at People Magazine. Like, those were places that like I was a smaller voice, and this was my opportunity to make bigger change within a smaller company, but one that served as a North Star for us. And so I really wanted to be a part of that. I also knew what they wanted to do, which was hire more women, garner more of a women audience, which is really a big part of my work and my mission and women empowerment and just the content that I was able to build up at Refinery 29. So knowing that that was of interest to them and like building up the culture there and what we've been able to do in the last 3 years has been incredible because that's exactly what we've done. But knowing what they wanted to do and what they were telling me they were hoping to do and knowing that how much that aligned with me, but also just having a space to, it's so exhausting working in predominantly white spaces because you're having to always over-explain yourself, always having to fight for anyone. Like if you want someone in a cover that's Latina, then it's like you're gonna have to come with some numbers as to why they deserve it. And here I don't have to explain anything.
Like they get it.
They get it. So I knew I needed that in my career. For like I was like, I need that. I need that once in my career. If it is once. I just need to feel seen and like have that breath of fresh air where I'm not overexhausting myself. I say people of color have two jobs when they work in predominantly white spaces. It's like you're doing your day-to-day job, but you're also having to like, explain your culture, explain yourself. And it's like,
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
And you're right. There is a lot of explaining that you do have to, you have to explain why this matters.
Why this matters.
And I
always.
think that's the frustrating part is like, all of it matters.
All of it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it's like, if you don't build it, it's not going to come because you have so many different folks in media. And it's not even just the companies that I worked for. It's most media companies will say like, oh, but we don't have that audience. You even have like regular companies saying that. Like you have people in fashion and beauty companies that are saying, oh, but like that doesn't really gear like our audiences and we don't have that demographic. And it's like, well, are you building the product for that audience? And it's like, you're going to have to take risk. And there's no numbers sometimes to provide for that because the audience hasn't been spoken to.
You know, it's so crazy. When I first started growing up Latina, like I remember speaking to someone and I was literally wanted them to partner with me on the show. And I said, this is going to be big. I'm telling you, you guys have to like really pay attention. And recently I saw the same person and he was like, oh my God, you're doing so well in Growing Up Latina. I'm like, but I gave you this show first. Like I told you, you can partner with me.
Yep.
And he's like, let's have a meeting. I'm like, no.
No. You weren't there when I first.
You wasn't with me shooting in jail.
You were not in there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like,
Because you have to fight for that belief of, because sometimes you're the visionary, right? So you're the one that sees like what the possibilities of it all.
Exactly.
And then to like, that's why, honestly, it's so important to work with like-minded people. Because when you work with like-minded people, you don't have to really sell it. It's almost like, no, I get it. I stand by this. I believe in it. Let's go.
And that's what these last 3 years have been.
I love that
It's
for
just
you.
like, I needed this in my career. I needed to not feel exhausted having to over-explain anything and be like, this is why we need to cover this person. We have this up-and-coming artist coming out, or this is why this talent is worth it. It's not having to like prove in numbers or like say why it's important, like you mentioned.
What was like your proudest moment working with them?
Launching the beauty vertical. We just launched the beauty vertical this year, and it was really exciting because it's we haven't had beauty content on the site, but I know what beauty means. And a lot of people think that beauty is like this very superficial surface level content, and I think there's so many beauty stories in terms of like founders who resonated with something from their mom that made them launch their brand, or there's talking about sustainability and how are we sourcing products like Palo Santo that are being exported at like alarming numbers from indigenous communities and being taken. And so like there's conversations to be had in beauty that not many folks are thinking about. And so it was really exciting to launch that and launch it with a major retailer like Sephora. So that was very, very exciting. And that was, again, a company taking a risk because it was just like, we never had beauty content. So how do we know that this service is our audience? But to have the company take that risk and have Sephora back us in that, it was really exciting.
That.
Yeah.
Congratulations
Thank you.
on that.
Yeah.
And now you also have your podcast.
Yes.
Oh my God.
That's another proud moment. Yeah, it's crazy.
I love it. So speak about like how this all came about for you. Did you have like visions of like doing a podcast?
I did have visions. The funny thing is that what came of it was that I once put on my Instagram story. I've been going on rants sometimes on Instagram.
You do.
Yes.
You do. Sometimes.
I do. And so once I was like, you know what, your girl just needs a podcast. Yeah. And I remember my company was like, let's do it then. And I was like, oh, okay. Wait.
See?
Yeah.
They believe in you.
They did. And
without question, they were like, yes, let's
do it. Let's go for it. And so for me, I always had the idea in mind, like that the name, the concept. So it was just like putting it on paper and actually creating like a deck or what this podcast looked like. And it was just that simple.
I love it. And you've had some incredible guests so far. So where do you see this going, and like how big are you trying to take this? Because the concept and also the set, I love.
Thank you.
Like,
so
I
much.
love the set.
And
I love your rollout too. Like your rollout, just like leading up to it was dope.
I appreciate that. Because it just feeds my creative souls. And the set, I was like, it needs to reflect me because I'm just a very creative person.
It's dope.
Like visually, really like even when I ask our creative director to do something, I'm like drawing on paper. Like I want this. Yeah, and it's terrible drawing. I'm not artistic in any way. I can create the idea, but I'm not like a
right.
I can't.
Like you're not Picasso.
Yeah, I'm not Picasso at all. So for me, I needed the set to reflect that. But it was just like, I really want this to be. I want to be a part of everyone's day to day. My dream would be able to have a daily podcast. Yeah. Like if I can be daily or weekly, daily is a little pushing, but I would love to be a weekly podcast, never taking a break. I would love to be a part of everyone's like week, become a household name where everyone's playing like they
manifested, girl. Manifested right here.
Yes. I would love to see like the fact that, and it's possible, people were listening to the radio station every single morning. And so like I would love to see podcasts like Growing Up Latina and mine like be a part of everyone's like week or day. And it's just like to be it, like, because a lot of people say, oh, that's not possible for someone to consume that much of a.
No, when you lock into your favorite shows, you locked in.
Exactly. You locked in.
Once you subscribe, I'll tell you who I do that with a lot. Monet McMichael.
Yes.
When I subscribe, I'm like, is it Sunday? Like, is she going to drop her video? Like, I'm waiting for that content.
Exactly. I'm the same way. Yeah. Love her content.
Like, if she doesn't update on TikTok, I'm like, girl, what's happening?
What are you doing?
What is going on?
Where's the vlog? I'm tuning in for the vlog. So I agree. I'm like, it's possible, and I would love to be a part of everyone's week. So I would love it to be this thing where people are like tuning in, and we're reaching large audiences. And my biggest dream, and I'm gonna call it out here, is to have like a network of podcasts. Yeah. And just like
I'm manifesting that for you. Yes.
We're putting it out there.
Yeah.
I really hope, and I'm going to. I'm gonna say I'm going to.
Yes,
I'm going to.
because you know your mom's gonna call you.
Yeah, she's gonna be like,
she's gonna hear this and be like, I hope you didn't say that. Switch that language.
I'm going to launch a network of podcasts and really, because a lot of my work has been like serving underrepresented voices, and if I could move that onto podcasts, that'd be really exciting.
Now, is there like a podcast that you've been looking at that you're like, that would be something that I would want to get involved with? Do you have like a favorite?
You know what's crazy? A lot of my favorite podcasts are ones that don't serve me. I don't know how to say that. Let me explain.
Elaborate. Yeah.
Let me elaborate. Because it's just like the reason that I created my podcast was because when I listen to podcasts, I like a balance.
Okay.
I love really motivational and moving, like your podcast. Like I need that. Like that fuels me, and I need that. Sometimes I just need and giggles.
Yeah.
I need a laugh. I need a break. And I feel like in that space, and that's where a lot of my favorite podcasts come from, it's not people that look or sound like me. And so like I'm playing that in the background because that's what I love about podcasts.
Yeah.
Like the ones on that, like the more pop culture-y, like trending topic podcasts, it's like you can have that in the background.
Definitely.
You're not having to like, if I'm listening to Growing Up Latina, I need to be like focused in my car.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like I need to be like, and so my podcast, I really want it to be more like background. Like you're cooking, but you're not having to be attention, but like you want to laugh.
You're in the gym.
Yeah, you're in the gym, and like you don't have to be super like tuned in. And so like me, I didn't see, and that's why I'm like, I would love my network to be ones that develop people who feel like they cannot be in that space. And so, but I don't have any that I'm like, oh, that's it. Because it's like we're not every podcast that I love that is about, there's actually one called and Giggles from these two Black men that I'm like, it's so funny. That one's really good. So I will say that to be able to back something like that. But I think those podcasts is just like, no, when Bad Bunny and Kendall Jenner started dating, no one was covering it.
Yeah,
like,
no, you're right.
There was no podcast that was talking about it because no one knew why Latinas were mad. And you can't have two white women talking about that because they're like, oh, let's just avoid that.
Yeah.
Let's not upset people. So it's like, I want to be able to create that kind of entertainment space.
Yeah.
I
love it.
Yeah.
I like you. What I like about your energy is like you want to disrupt.
I do.
Yeah, you want to be disruptive.
I want to be disruptive.
That's what I'm picking up right
I want to
now.
make people uncomfortable.
Yeah. No, I mean in like the best way possible.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
I think you go into any situation and listen, this is my first time. This is not my first time seeing you in person. We just saw each other.
Yeah, we just saw each other.
But you know, I just feel like from everything that you're saying, you are just wanting change within your community.
Yes.
You are wanting, and not just any change, like you're wanting to really create this change for us, which I love.
Yes.
I love.
And
that's such a big role to take on.
It is.
That's so scary, but I love it.
I know, but it's just like, I just want us to feel like there's nothing we can't do.
Yeah.
And we're not limited to talking about one thing, or we're not limited to not being in this space, or like that we have to create our own thing. Like, it's just like, I just want everyone to feel like I'm leaving every door possible open in media, because media is so important in terms of like where everyone's consuming media every single day.
Yeah.
And media is not just magazines or .com. It's like podcasts, it's social media, it's streaming, it's YouTube videos. And like, I just want everyone to feel like whatever corner they're walking into, they're being seen. And it's not limiting in what they're seeing.
What advice would you give to someone who's maybe they're not even in this space, but they're wanting so bad to be in this space? Like, what are some of the steps they should take? Because for you, like, they came to you, but that's not everybody's reality.
That's not everyone's reality.
But before that, you were the one knocking on people's doors. So what about the person that, you know, is wanting to knock on people's door, not sure how to get started quite yet?
Yeah, I create your own door. Honestly, I tell people all the time, I think we're in a beautiful place of like opportunity where we've never been able to, in terms of like, you can upload your own YouTube videos. I tell people now, like, when I see writers that are stressed because they can't find places that will publish stories or won't take their pitches, I'm like, there's Substack, there's so many different blog sites. Like, you don't even need a publication to publish what you're writing. And then you're able to take that writing and share it and say like, here, check out my Substack so you can see my tone of voice or my ideas or the things that I cover. And I just think even like there's social journalism in terms of people doing green screen feature, like you're wanting to be an on-camera host. Like the way I've seen people make it in terms of just doing journalism on TikTok is insane. And it's like, that's
a thing.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, and it's an avenue, and it's just like, do your research, see is there somewhere you want to work, figure it out, like email everyone there. It's so easy to find people's emails as well. Take informational interviews, take people out for coffee, whatever it might be. And if you don't see any opportunity there, that's what I mean by like creating your own door. And like if it's that you want to be, again, on camera journalist, create TikToks.
Yeah. I always say like you can use your phone.
Yeah.
Like
your
you don't
phone.
need a fancy setup. If you're just getting started, just like use your phone.
Yeah. And like podcasting, like the things that I've seen people do in just like their homes and like
crazy. They have a whole content area.
Yeah, their own content area, and just
like the corner, they go in the closet, they make it work.
Yeah, so it's like just figure out what it is that you need.
Yeah.
Take this time, sit down, strategize, and like also ask yourself like, what are you hoping to accomplish? Like who do you want to serve? And then from there take it on.
Great advice.
Thanks.
Great advice. I want to get into you and your husband. Can we get into that tea real quick?
Yeah, no one ever asks me about him.
I have to. So funny. So you're Dominican. He's Puerto Rican.
Yes.
How does this work?
It works.
It works.
It works. It does.
Does it?
I think we
Like,
use
do you guys argue culturally about things?
It's so funny when we do anything that's like culturally like feuding. It's just funny. We make it a joke. Like we've gone to El Serie del Caribe and like when DR went against PR.
Yep.
And we made it like this huge funny feud moment. But we just have fun with the feuds of like PR versus DR. Like we just make jokes all the time. But our relationship is just funny because we roast each other a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, somebody was just telling me this weekend, they're like, you need to post more of how you roast your husband on like Instagram.
I can see you doing that though. Why do you do that?
Yeah.
She's like, we're going to be positive, but I'm also going to roast you as
I'm
well.
going to roast. I'm going to roast and I roast him. And I think that makes it fun.
Is that the secret to like making sure this thing lasts?
It is.
Is it?
It's like you just got to like make fun of each other. And like,
you can't laugh with your partner.
He can't take it too far though. Sometimes I'd be like,
He gets serious?
Yeah. No, like when he roasts in the joke, like if I'm on like my period or something and I'm like
no roasting for me
No
today.
roasting for me. I'm not going to find it funny.
How much does he understand about like your line of work, and how supportive is he with like your ventures that you have going on?
He's so supportive.
Yeah.
He's there with the phone all the time.
I love
recording.
that.
And he's a lot of the ideas that I have, he's always like helping me kind of like fine tune them. And when we first started dating, he didn't understand any of it.
Really?
Like, and we like with time, I was able to explain like, you know, these are the steps. And
I mean, what did he think? Like, what was his thoughts like in terms of like what you were doing?
He thought I was just like interviewing people because when he had met me, I actually was doing a lot of on-camera interviews. So he thought I was like showing up and like, but he didn't understand like the editor aspect or like writing and things of that sort, like what that path looked like. He didn't even understand like how you get to editor-in-chief, how do you get to like C-suite in like editorial world. And so I had to explain the steps to him. And but yeah, he had no understanding. But he is like always there with his phone, always helping me. I'm always like running ideas with him, and he loves it because he works in finance. So he's always like getting a creative bug out of it.
But he's like your biggest fan.
He is my biggest fan.
I love this.
100%, yeah.
I love this because sometimes it's hard dating when you're in the entertainment industry and maybe they're not in the industry and they really don't understand what's happening, and you're like, okay, let's sit down.
Yeah.
No, I'm not always on my phone scrolling. This is actually work for me.
Yes.
You know?
Well, sometimes he does call it out, but I think it's good. Like
Okay.
I think he calls it out when it needs to be called out. When because I love what I do. So he's someone who's like, you know, he's in finance. It's like work is work, but for me it's like it's in my blood. Like I am such a creative person, and when you're creative, it's like you're thinking creatively. Like ideas are just always running in my head all the time, and I'm always needing to talk about it. So but
you have
sometimes
no off button.
I have no off button, and he's always having to like clock me and be like, "Hey, like let's do dinner with no work talk."
Yeah.
So and I appreciate that because I need that sometimes because I'm like, yeah, you're right. Like that could be a lot.
Yeah. No, it could be, but I think that's an interesting balance as well. I love that you guys joke around. I think that's so important.
It is.
'Cause sometimes relationships can be so serious, and you have to remember to laugh.
Yeah.
Like you really do.
Yeah, and when you have people trying you, like we were saying, it's like you need someone that you can just joke around with and have a good time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's go into my rapid fire.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Tell me you're Latina without telling me you're Latina.
Ooh. Tell me you're Latina without telling me you're Latina. I don't know. I think everything I say, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like, I think everything about me says I'm Latina. My name, I always say all the time, I'm like, there's no way I can't walk into a room or someone looks at my resume without saying I'm Latina.
Yeah.
But even the music I listen to, the things that I watch, the things that I eat, everything about me is Latina.
What's on your playlist right now?
I am Billie Eilish.
Yes.
Billie
Okay.
Eilish.
We love her. She's dope.
Yeah.
She's like a real, like, that girl's a
But
star.
everything, just like the production, the melody, everything. It's like a whole experience for music.
Yeah. What does it mean to you to be Latina?
It means to be powerful. It means to be empowered, powerful, unique. I think there's so much we offer the world, and I think it's so untapped, and that's a really big part of what moves me, and opening that door for all that untapped power. But when I think Latina, I think power.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that. What's your favorite Spanish dish?
I'm so basic. I'm like white rice, pollo al horno, or chicharrón de pollo.
Yes.
Yeah. Some beans, some brown beans.
Do you cook?
I don't. My husband's the cook.
Okay. You hit the jackpot.
I did. I don't cook. I can't cook.
Really?
Like, I can't cook at all.
Okay.
Yeah, that was like that was the thing. Like, I let him know right away. I was like, I can't cook, and he was like, it's all good. I cook. But he's also
that's like my biggest fear is telling a man, hey, I can't cook, and they're like, okay, so next, like, I want to be with you, you know?
Your person will be your person, and it's fine. And he's so, I was like, I cannot cook,
and he was cool.
He was cool, but he's also very perfectionist with cooking.
Okay,
so
it works.
Sorry, it works because it's like if I try, because sometimes I be trying.
You try,
and he's like watching, and I'm like, I can't do this.
It's like, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah,
you're going to be over me, micromanaging.
Yeah, he'll be like, you could put a little more pepper. And I'm like, no. Now you take over.
Okay. What's one thing you need in the morning?
My affirmation. I need my affirmation, and I need my dogs. I need to see my dogs.
How many dogs do you have?
I have 2 dogs.
What kind of dogs?
I have a Morkie, Maltese and Yorkie, and a rescue beagle.
Yes. Okay.
I need my dogs. There's my favorite part of my morning, and I need my affirmations.
What's
and my
your
skincare.
favorite? Skincare is important.
Yes.
Skincare, my nighttime routine.
I don't mess with my skincare.
No, we shouldn't. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We have to preserve.
Yeah.
So, like, we got to preserve.
I'm not missing that.
Yeah. What's your favorite affirmation? Like, what's your go-to?
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
Okay. Yeah. What's the last movie that made you cry with laughter? It was so funny that you actually cried.
Wow. I would say it wasn't a movie. It was the roast for Tom Brady.
Oh my God. Did you see that? I could not believe that.
I was dying laughing.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. What is this chapter of your life called? I know.
You know what's funny? I tried not to think too hard about these questions because I wanted to give you real answers.
Okay. Thank you. We appreciate that.
And now I'm like, damn, where am I? This chapter is opportunity.
I like that.
Yeah, opportunity.
Okay.
I just feel like a lot of doors have been opening and there's a lot coming. So I'm very excited for everyone to see. But I just feel like I'm finally seeing the fruits of my labor. And like now I feel like opportunity's knocking, and it's like so exciting.
So
yeah, because I've been working and working and working. I don't do things to like for people to give me the opportunity for recognition or accolades. I do it because I want to, and like I really want to like build up community and do it for my people and for anyone who looks like me who's so much younger. And so to now see like everything like finally getting recognition and like doors opening is just so exciting because it hasn't happened to me. Yeah. And as I mentioned, even with Remezcla, like that was the first time anyone's ever poached me. And then for now, what's like on the forefront in terms of like speaking opportunities and fun things to do is just so exciting. So
love it. Okay. What is something you would want to work on that you haven't already?
Ooh.
These are loaded questions.
my physical health. And I mean like working out. And I don't mean working out to like be skinny. I mean like taking that time. I think I travel so much for work and I'm constantly doing something and I really do want to feel my best. And I really do find that it impacts me like physically when I'm like on the move, on the move, on the move, on the move.
Yeah.
And it's like if I'm not on the move, I'm sleeping, but I do want to dedicate time to like walks and working out and things of that sort. So as something, my answer when I started the year, like going into as of last year, was like financial literacy, and that's something I've been working really hard on. But I'm in an amazing place with that in terms of like I understand so much that I didn't, because people see editor in chief and they think, oh, she's got her shit together, and I didn't. So now it's just like me, it's like my fitness. And
That's interesting. What has really helped you in terms of like understanding that language? Because money is a language that you have to understand.
Yeah. For me, it was like I had to actually sit down and like I just wasn't in the place I wanted to be. And it was like actually being real about that. And it was just, for me, you know, media is such a scary place. And having seen all that has been happening in terms of like job security and the future of media kind of was like, oh, wait, you know, like this could happen to me anytime. And so, and that's, I'm being so honest, because I think people think they see me and they're like, I'm not scared of like where my position is, and I'm always scared of where my position is and the way that media moves. And so yeah, I think for me, having that hard reality of like, okay, I might not have the opportunities that I have now, but I want to be in a safer place was what like really pushed me. And then from there, it was just like, it was kind of like a little bit of shame. Like I didn't understand like my 401k. It was just like you just throw money at things, but you don't really understand it. Like, what are my options? Like, what is life insurance? What is like high yield savings? Like, what are my better options? Like, and I've been so honest with people as of the last year. Like, I didn't have that understanding until last year. And so I did a lot of research and I asked questions. Like, I wasn't embarrassed. Like, I used to be, but I started asking my friends. I'm like, hey, what do you do for this? Like, what account do you have for that? Like, how much do you put towards this? Like, and like I even asked married friends, like, how do you separate that? Like for things of that sort. And like my husband's always had that understanding, but I wanted it for me. Like I wanted for me to understand as well. And he was also really helpful in explaining things. Like, but I finally asked the question.
I think that's so important to like take away, just asking the questions. Towards the beginning of the year, I remember I was kind of going through my budget and I was staying in my cousin's house, and she was like trying to help me like create this 2024 budget.
Yeah.
And I just remember like how uncomfortable I felt.
Yes.
Like, cause you had to like, cause we use the app and you had to link your bank account to the app. And I was like, oh no, I'll just do that on my own. Like, don't worry about it. And she's like, girl, like, I don't care about how much money you got in your account. I'm like, no, but I don't, and I even told her, I said, I don't want to talk about this. Like, it makes me uncomfortable to talk about money with people, because growing up, I was raised to not have those conversations.
Don't talk about money.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and my friend was saying that the other day. She was like, I really want to talk more about money, and like not like, oh, our goals. Like, let's be real about like how much is in our bank account? How much do we want in our bank account? How much do we want saved? Like specifics. Like we want, I think it's so important, so much power. The way that people say like, let's talk salary. Like, and I'm an open book with salary. When people have booked one-on-one meetings with me, like people trying to make it into industry, I'm like, this is how much I made. This is how much you should be making. This is how much, like, in terms of like where you're at in your career. And I think we need to have that same mentality for like our bank accounts. So like it helps us also understand, like, are we in the place that we should be? And like, so I think specificity is really important. And I hope to see us having more conversations about that.
On your network, we're gonna have it.
Yes. On our network. Hey.
Yes. If you can have the Last Supper with 3 Latinas, dead or alive, who would they be?
Ooh. I would have the Last Supper with, dead or alive, Celia Cruz.
Love her. Literally, everyone that sits here is always saying Celia Cruz.
Yes, that would be a fun dinner.
Yes, I have not met one person that has not mentioned her name. Honestly, that's how impactful she was.
I love that.
Yeah, like I literally love her.
I love that.
Yeah.
I would also have. I'm thinking.
Could be anyone.
Yes.
Could be anyone.
Julissa Calderon.
Oh,
Love her.
Yes.
And I've had dinner with her, but I would just love to like, I don't know if that's cheating because I have sat down on a dinner table with her, but I think that she like inspires me, motivates me, and every time we have conversations, so I'm always like, I always want more.
She's dope.
She's really dope. I think she's doing incredible things. I think Monet McMichael.
Love her.
I would definitely have in there.
I'm coming to your dinner.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm like, I want to name one more person. I'm thinking.
Yeah, name one more person.
Because now I'm having a bunch of Latinas are starting to come to my head. Yeah. I'm like, I think Monet, I think she just has her perspective. I think people think young and don't understand the value of like a young mind and like how that could fuel you creatively, inspirationally. And like, I think she has so much to offer to the world, and to like get even a conversation to like get into her mind a little is something that I would love to have. But, and I think someone that could be interesting politics aside is like AOC. She's someone that like, I remember I tweeted years ago, I would love to like have a podcast. Like I didn't even have a podcast in mind, but like just to sit with her, to talk with her in terms of like, because I think she's someone that like me wants to disrupt and to like even speak on like her beginnings and like to talk to that is always been like, I think like the fact that she was even, I had covered a lot of her like wearing red lipstick at Refinery 29 and like the fact that she was so much more nuanced than politics and there's so much more that to her than politics would be really fun to have her there.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love all of the choices that you made, by the way.
You're invited to
I'm coming. I'm there.
Yeah.
Finish this sentence. Growing up Latina is
powerful. I know I repeated myself, but like I think it's so
That's
powerful.
That's been like your theme word, by the way, throughout this interview is like powerful.
It is, because I think there's
powerful and positivity.
Yes.
Yeah.
Powerful and positivity. And I know I'm like giving you, it's not that I want to give you an easy answer because I already said it, but it's like I just think there's so much power in us, and like I want people to look at my career and see the things that I've done and like also believe that they're powerful. Yeah. Because it's like the world fights us so much and makes us feel like we're not. They fight our power. They make us feel little. Every day we're being tried, and like especially when we don't see ourselves, it's like so easy to feel small. And we have so much to offer. And so for me, it's like growing up Latina has made me feel powerful. And like again, seeing my mom like go from, she started as a receptionist and she was a temp receptionist on someone's maternity leave.
Wow.
And then became an executive within the company. From just watching.
We need her on this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need your mom on the show.
So like for me, it's like growing up watching that, seeing how powerful that was.
Like you saw that resilience in her.
Yes. And there's so many amazing Latinas who are doing such incredible things. And it's like, man, we're powerful women. And it's like to tell yourself that every single day, it's like, it will change your life.
Yeah. I love this. Oh, is there any like last thing that you want to tell our audience, your fans? Because people love you, girl.
Oh,
people absolutely love you.
Thank you. No, I think I shared it all. I think for me, it was just like, I was speaking about this the other day, like to even be invited on to here is so meaningful to me because you mentioned it. It's like your own people don't necessarily celebrate you. So when I'm invited to platforms like this, it's so heartwarming and like exciting because it's like, oh, you see me. So I appreciate you being here with me, and I want people to feel like, keep going, man, keep doing your thing. And there's so many avenues of opportunity. Like, and it's not all flowers and it's not all easy. Like, again, what you see on social media is a highlights reel. And it's been tough. Like, to get to where I'm at has been tough. And so I don't want anyone to ever look at my profile and be like, oh, it just fell on my lap. Or she's a lucky. Oh my God. This is what I want to end with. It's just like, I interview so many Latinas, and one Latina I interviewed who actually I would want on my dinner table is Mariel Gomez. She's A&R for Parkwood, and I remember in the interview she was like, I'm lucky, and when she said that, it like triggered something in me because I started then realizing, and it was like deja vu. All the Latinas that I've been interviewing. All the Latinas that I've been interviewing all say that, like lucky. Like that's a word they throw around so much. And I'm like, are we lucky? Or like, are we the ones creating those opportunities for ourselves? And it's like, we've been so programmed to believe that we're lucky, or how we actually been creating our own luck. And it's like, I've actually had thought about that once. And I remember like I used lucky, and then I changed my frame of thinking into like, no, I'm not lucky. I've created luck. And I feel like once you let lucky go, then you're like opening yourself up to more opportunity, because you're saying, oh, I worked hard for this. So I can do this, I can do that, when you sulk in like, oh, I'm lucky, or this was a lucky opportunity, then you think that it's like a once in a lifetime thing. Versus if you fight that, then you understand that it's not, and you can actually create more opportunity for yourself. So, I just wanted to end on that, because I realized I had that thought the other day where I was like, wow, a lot of Latinas that I interviewed throw in that word lucky. And I understand it, it can feel like a lucky opportunity, but no, girl,
like it's a form of like kind of feeling humble, right? Like just humbling yourself, like I just got lucky.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you're like,
but there's
discrediting the amount of years you put into this.
Exactly. There's no white man leading no company and C-suite saying like, oh, I'm lucky. And this was a lucky opportunity. Like, they're not saying that. So like, why are we saying that? Like, no, you created that luck. You created this opportunity. You did that. So like, let's not give luck that at all.
That was perfect. Yeah. That was perfect. I love you so much.
No, thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. So many gems were dropped on this episode.
Having me.
Thank you.
You're the first to ever ask me about my family and my husband.
Yeah, we get into it over here. But let everybody know where they can find you, where they can follow you.
You can follow me at Thatiana Diaz for everything. There's a period in between, and my name is THA. I also tell people, because anytime anyone puts my name in, they're like, I can't find you. I'm like, H.
Yeah, you got to add that H in.
Thatiana Diaz, and then all of our work at Remezcla.
Love it.
Z, yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.
It's lovely.